What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. So Tesla has always had regenerative braking. In one of the recent updates a few months ago, they added a hold feature in which regenerative braking will come to a complete stop. Regenerative braking is a function where energy is transferred back into the vehicle and isn't lost, unlike conventional vehicles which use brakes and that energy is lost. It's kind of like a golf cart where you push on the accelerator, you increase speed, and when you let go of the accelerator, the car starts to slow down. With the new feature that was actually released a few months ago, the Tesla starts to slow down to a complete stop. So in this video, we're going to drive from Los Angeles, from Koreatown to downtown Los Angeles, which is actually only about 4 miles, but it's through the city, so there's a ton of stoplights and blocks. So we're going to see how many times we can accurately pace the vehicle and use the regenerative braking function and the stopping mode to a complete stop without using any of the brakes. To see how many times we actually need to use the brakes, or we can time it correctly to see how useful regenerative braking is. Alright guys, let's get into the video. Alright, so before we begin, we're going to make sure we have the correct settings. We're going to go to settings and then go to driving, and we'll leave it in chill so we don't accelerate too fast today. But regenerative braking, we're going to set it from low to standard, and then stopping mode, instead of creep, which it acts like a normal regular car, or roll, we're going to have it set to hold so that the Tesla comes to a complete stop and holds at a stop and doesn't move forward or creep or roll forward. Okay, so it's about 3 miles to get back to Los Angeles, and there is a ton of street lamps, and there's gonna be a lot of cars probably in Koreatown on the way back. So let's see if we can time this correctly without braking at all during this whole entire drive. And really just letting the regenerative braking, or the aggressive regenerative braking, do its job and come to a stop. To view the settings for regenerative braking, because there are 2 types, you go to driving, and then under regenerative braking there's low and standard. Low acts more like a normal car, but it still slows down to a slight stop, whereas standard is super aggressive or more aggressive and comes to a complete stop. So we're at a stop here. I'm going to let go of the accelerator, just inch a little bit, and it's going to come to a stop. And we're at a stop. So when I'm driving by myself, I leave it on standard, which is the most aggressive setting for regenerative braking, so it can come to a complete stop. But when I have passengers in the car, especially new passengers that aren't used to the Tesla or the way Teslas drive, or really any electric car and how they drive, I do turn it to low so it coasts more like a normal car. But the flip side of that is, because I'm so used to the aggressiveness of regenerative braking, I tend to let off the accelerator later than I should until the car coasts, and then I have to use the brake more because it doesn't have regenerative braking. So I haven't used the brakes yet. We're going to go into the left lane because this bus is blocking. You do have to drive a little bit defensively and kind of be aware of what's going to happen so you can predict whether the traffic is going to stop in front of you or not. So you can see there's like a Mustang slowing down. Oh, okay, so I let go of the accelerator and it came to a stop and slowed down. You can see how aggressive the slowdown is, because let's say I'm going 26 miles an hour right now and I let go of the accelerator, it slows down to 15, and then we're going to accelerate again. So it's pretty quick on how fast it slows down, but you still have to time it a little bit so you don't have to use your brakes. So I just let go, turning left, accelerate some more. I'm going to slow down, let go of the accelerator on that turn. Oh. And there's a FedEx truck. So you do drive a little bit kind of jerky because you're on and off the accelerator. You're not necessarily holding down the accelerator as much the whole time like a normal gas car. But it's kind of like how taxi drivers drive, where they accelerate, let go, brake, let go, accelerate again, let go, because they feel like it's better for the braking system to save their brakes. So there are ways to kind of smooth it out by like half pressing the throttle so that you kind of accelerate some more instead of letting it come to a complete stop. I typically just throw it on to low regenerative braking when I have passengers in the car, instead of trying to keep the regenerative braking on standard and trying to keep it smooth on the ride. So still haven't used the brakes yet. I've gone through a couple intersections and there certainly has been some traffic and some cars on the road into the left lane. So you can see this is how far we're like 8 car lengths ahead, and I'm going to let go around here, slows down a little bit, and then I'm just going to inch up a little bit to close the gap in front of us. So LA or Los Angeles is certainly one of the more hectic areas to drive your car. If I can use regenerative braking and not use the brakes at all during this short drive, then you should be able to use regenerative braking without brakes anywhere, I would say, in any sort of city driving. Accelerating to 34 miles an hour, a couple cars in front of us, making sure that the left lane is open just in case I need to get into that lane if this car starts to brake and make a right. So pretty good. I'm like feathering the throttle a little bit, keeping it half pressed to kind of keep the, okay, so that was a little bit scary. The car brakes, I might have wanted to go into the right lane, so I let go of the accelerator a little bit, which caused it to slow down, and then we're going to come to a complete stop. Slowing down here through the intersection because there's a red light ahead of us, so I'm accelerating a little bit, letting go a little bit. And coming to a complete stop. I guess I should have put a camera angle on my feet so you could see when I use the brakes or not. So I'm going to start recording it from right here. I just started it just so you guys can see that I'm not using the brakes at all on this drive. Accelerating, a couple cars on the right side. Kind of scary. Car just came into our lane. Cruising at 32 miles an hour. I do have to get in the left lane because the left lane goes straight through this intersection. I'm going to try and drive as normally as I typically would and not drive too conservatively, just to try and not use the brakes at all. I would drive like this. I would keep like a 1 to 2 car lengths, or even this is like a 3 car length behind this car, just so I have some space to be able to make some maneuvers if some defensive driving needs to come up. Okay, I let go of the accelerator a little bit there because the truck in front of us braked a little bit. Oh, let go of it again. Of course, this is a bumpy Los Angeles road. I hope you guys like the image of my feet. Cruising at 32, 31 miles an hour, pacing this truck in front of us. Letting go of the accelerator. The truck in front of us braked a little bit, so I let go a little bit. Kind of going wide here because there's a car on the right that's trying to park. And letting go of the accelerator. I feel like at the 15 mile per hour range, if you let go, it really slows down pretty drastically. So you can see there, I was going about 6 miles an hour and then it slowed down to 1 mile an hour very, very quickly. So yeah, as you can see below in the foot cam, I haven't used the brake whatsoever, and we've probably traveled at least 2 miles on our way back to Los Angeles. Okay, we have a green light. Inching up ahead. 20 miles an hour. Truck in front of us is braking just a little bit. Okay, increasing speed and letting go of the accelerator. That was probably too early. I could have probably gone a little bit further and then let go of the accelerator, but I guess that was a little bit conservative on that one because I still had some room to cruise a little bit before this red light. Okay, so we're getting pretty close to our destination. There was only a couple more lights to go. Accelerating. There's a car in front of us. I'm going to let go right here. Oh, and some defensive driving because I could barely see that guy's ticker signal or clicker to turn into that, to park into that spot. So I had to do some defensive driving there. So that wasn't really using the regenerative braking. That was more so defensive driving. So going 25 miles an hour. So let's just see. So we're going, there's a car behind me, so I can't let go. I was going to let go and see how quickly the regenerative braking kicks in and slows to a stop. Oh, I thought for a second, I thought I would need to use the brakes there, but the regenerative braking did its thing and slowed about 3 feet in front of that car. So perfect. Did not have to use the brakes there at all. Yeah, typically if a car brakes pretty quickly and you're not paying attention, sorry, I dropped the camera on the bottom, then you might need to use the brakes to intervene, but if you can time it most of the time correctly, then you should be fine and never have to use your brakes at all. So a little bit of a construction area coming up ahead. Should be able to maneuver this pretty well. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. We drove about 3 miles from Koreatown, Los Angeles to downtown Los Angeles. Didn't have to use the brakes at all. There was a certain section, that one part where the car in front of us braked pretty quickly, or I wasn't paying attention, and we almost had to use the brakes, but the regenerative braking slowed down probably within 3 to 4 feet from the car, and we didn't have to use it. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Hit that like if you enjoyed it. Comment below if you use regenerative braking on your daily basis in the standard setting or the low function, and let me know what you guys think. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.